to the world. Subscribe now to the Hot 97 YouTube channel. It's Ebro in the Morning with Laura Stiles and Rosenberg.
Ebro in the Morning. Laura Stiles, Rosenberg, ladies and gentlemen. Meet David Diggs and Marc Joseph. I think the founders of the 45 Lies, which is going around, people spitting bars about. I mean, now listen, there's a lot of material when it comes to the lies being told by the current occupant of the White House. So you can,
and just to be clear, they're using the number 45 to represent the number president he is. They're not suggesting he's only lied 45 times. I want to be clear about that.
Now, the
Washington Post alone will tell us he's been lying at least 20,000 times since being in office 4 years ago. And that's really why we did this, man. That just cannot stand.
So, and obviously right now we're, 28 days away from Election Day. We're encouraging everybody to vote as early as you possibly can, whether that's via mail-in or going to a location where they provide early voting like they do here in New York State. Y'all, now, David, you're in California, you're in New York. Where do you live?
Yeah, I'm California-based.
And Marc, where are you
based?
Vancouver
at the moment, but
I'm based in Washington, D.C. right now.
In D.C.
But I've called Oakland home for the better part of the last 25
Shout out to
years.
town.
Here in D.C. Shout out to
town. And so how did the 45 Lies thing come to life for this at this time?
Yeah, I had the idea about 2 weeks ago, enlisted folks like David and Black Thought and Saul Williams and a number of MCs to join me. Basically, the idea is that we expect, many of us in the hip hop community, we expect politicians to tell falsehoods from time to time. But the culture of disinformation is what erodes democracy. And no matter what side of the political line you stand on, our democratic institutions need some kind of stability, and the truth stabilizes democracy. So I had the idea, because hip hop is a battle culture, to enlist some of my favorite writers, some of my favorite authors, some of my favorite MCs to think about very specific lies and to talk about how they're impacted emotionally, how they're impacted systemically, so that those of us in the hip hop community that have grown kind of numb to the idea that politicians lie, those of us in the community that say, well, it's really just two people. What's the difference between the two people? It's actually not a difference between two candidates. It's a difference between democracy and authoritarianism. So I asked these folks, listen, man, take one specific lie and engage it in 45 seconds. Let's get the hip hop community engaged, and let's create activism, because ultimately America is a verb. Democracy is a verb. We have to put it in action. And folks like David stepped up to the plate.
So
go ahead, Rosenberg.
I'm sorry, David, I was going to say, so what was the lie you decided to tackle?
Yeah, this idea that isn't actually unique to Trump, but his claiming the success of this program called Opportunity Zones, which is basically urban renewal. It's gentrification, as we've seen over and over again, but it claimed to be pouring money into low-income neighborhoods, and when you look at where the money actually goes, it ends up mostly being invested in high-end hotels, and most of the returns from it are in tax breaks for the wealthy.
Well, like here in New York City, Opportunity Zone was Harlem, one of many opportunity zones, but developers took that money and those grants, and the way they drew the zone, basically the money that was supposed to go to Harlem actually ended up in how they built what is known as the Hudson Yards, which is high-end shopping, high-end, which is so.
It's basically exists for rich tourists when they come here.
And rich living and corporations. Right. And that's on 34th Street at the Jacob Javits Center.
That's not Harlem?
That's 100, that's like 70 blocks minimum from Harlem.
Craziest thing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy,
and so, and the same thing happens in Oakland. The same thing happens in LA. The same thing happens all over the country. And when you can get specific about these lies and their effects on us, on real people, it allows us I think the opportunity to engage with politics in a different way, right? The term opportunity zones doesn't mean anything. When you look at what it actually does, we get to engage with the situation and say, well, also, not only is that not what you said it was, but also why are you claiming the success of it? You know, there's the lie embedded within the bad policy. It's not just a policy that doesn't affect us. You also then went on television and claimed that it was helping poor people, and it's not.
Who gets the honor of breaking down no president's ever been better for black people with the exception of maybe Abraham Lincoln? Who gets that one? That's a gem.
Yeah, Jay Dixon tackled that one. You know, the other thing that's been great about this, you know, folks like Talib Kweli have hopped on. You know, the great thing about this is we do want to model democracy. So while I've named folks like David and Black Thought, Maida Del Valle, and others, what's happened with the hashtag is folks have come in and tackled specific lies themselves. There was a person that came on talking about, and he did 45 seconds about insulin. Because
it's like water. It's cheap. It's everywhere. Exactly, it's like water.
Exactly. The president was like, "Yeah, it's like water," and you know, and this person was during their 45 seconds, they was talking about actually it costs $10,000 a month. I don't know what kind of water you were drinking, but so like David said, it's the lies by themselves are almost harmless, but in aggregate, it just creates a culture that's too much for us to bear. You know what I mean? So Rosemary, what you said is exactly right. It's like, you know, Lady Luck took on the COVID diagnosis. Maida Del Valle talked about Hurricane Maria. I kicked it off by talking about the inauguration size.
Oh, that's the way you got to start.
That's where you got to start because he'd been in office less than an hour, you know what I'm saying? And he was already talking about it's the largest inauguration in history. And that's the problem. It's not just the campaign lies, it's the stuff that you can plainly see, the stuff that you can obviously see. There's no reason.
Well, I think, but see, that speaks to a larger problem, which is a conversation we have often about why some people are apathetic about voting, is because in all of everything we're pointing out, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
What are you? And it's like, yo, you vote them out, they lose their job, right? Like you get them out of here, they lose their job. But in the moment, the accountability in the moment, day to day, week by week, month to month of a president or any government official for that matter, or a cop, you've lied.
Yes.
And people died because of your lies.
Yes.
And in that moment, as an American citizen, you feel like, yo, what can I do?
Definitely. David, you want to take that one, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the great things that this initiative and this program that B's come up with is doing is providing a system of accountability that is just comes from us, just comes from the people who can look at it and say, this is a lie, you lied, here's 45 seconds about why you lied. And it can travel. It's something that is for everybody. And it I hope encourages us to engage in democracy, not just when there's an election happening, right? To use this system to continue to use this system of accountability so that the culture becomes that, so that we don't end up in a situation where when the president announces that he's going to the hospital, everybody's knee-jerk reaction is, okay, what's the play here? What's the
yo, listen, because we was definitely on the air like, yo, believe it or not, call right now if you believe it or not. Why do you believe it? Why don't you believe it? Because we don't know what's real.
Like, I don't believe it.
You could quote me. You could quote me. I was like, yo, you want me to believe it? Hook him up to a respirator.
I know.
That shouldn't be the case when the president says he's going to the hospital. There's something fundamentally wrong with our country at that point. And so this kind of accountability is important. And,
but, you know,
and what I
on
think
this
the program points out is we can do that.
On this specific issue of presidential health, though, there is history here with regard to this country disguising the health of leadership, whether it was Ronald Reagan towards the end there with his, was it dementia that he was having, I believe, Or who was the president that had polio and Eleanor Roosevelt?
FDR, yeah.
FDR did.
Yeah.
They hit FDR as being no one knew FDR was paralyzed from the waist down until much after his presidency.
Yeah, so there's some history tied to that lie, for sure.
Yeah.
And there's history. I'm sure we can find more, but there's history here.
Yeah. Those presidents, however, didn't say that they were sick, and if they had, we might have believed them. Like that's the through the looking glass moment we're in right now. That when the president says I'm sick, everyone's like, nah.
Well, that's the thing. You can't even traditionally, the one thing that you could kind of come together over is that if there was harm done to the president or a risk to the president's health,
right,
there would be a bipartisan come together of like, hey, we don't like this person, but this is the president of the United States. We are at a point of divisiveness and lack of believing so much that this weekend, instead of anyone being worried about the president, I mean, unless you were a sycophant, most everyone was making fun of it. And I don't begrudge anyone. I made fun of it. And that's where we are. That's where we are as a nation.
I think Obama and they did the presidential things. Obama, Biden, they did the presidential things. I think the
they
Democrats,
got their classy on it.
Of course,
they put their best suit and tie on for the moment. You know what I mean?
Well, everyone has except this guy.
But if you even just walk it back to COVID, as toxic, as insidious, as evil as this virus has been, as this pandemic has been, it also should have been something that unified the country.
That's right.
This is something that we're all experiencing together in real time. And maybe we haven't experienced something like this, a tragedy like this in real time since September 11th. This was a moment for all of us to come together. And instead, you have 50 different takes because there is no single federal response. You see somebody with a mask and you almost automatically assume their political affiliation.
It's crazy.
That also should not be. And, I don't want to make this just about this person's character. I don't want to just make it about the presidential character, because 45 Lies is really about us. It's about how we respond. And to your point, how do we come together? So we've done the work. We have the website, 45lies2020.com. We have a whole bunch of lies up there. We have a whole bunch of video responses up there. We have places for folks to donate, to the ACLU and Stacey Abrams Fair Fight. Like we've built a little infrastructure for folks to be able to respond in real time. But it's not so much about this one guy. It's about all of us and what the repercussions of this one guy's very difficult relationship with the truth has done to American democracy.
That's too clean. Sometimes we try to clean it up too much, man. He's a fucking liar, bro.
That's a great way of
he's a scumbag liar. The whole and real talk, we've said it multiple times. I don't think he anticipated being president when he came down that escalator. He had just lost his job at NBC's Apprentice. He was looking for a new public hustle, a reason for him to be in the spotlight. He was like, fuck it, I'm going to run for president. Why not? And tripped and stumbled his way all the way into this shit because he is entertaining on television.
Well, and not only that, and people got, just like with the birther thing, he noticed that when he went racist, he got the most positive reinforcement he's ever gotten in his life.
And he leaned into it after.
It's even stuff like that, man. Talking about NASCAR's ratings went down when they banned the Confederate flag, when NASCAR's ratings actually went up when they banned the Confederate flag. It's that thing. It's the Proud Boys. It's on and on. So, hip hop culture and how we respond is the thing. You know what I mean? Ebro, you asked earlier, folks get disenchanted, folks get numb, folks get cynical. But, I grew up in the 1980s in New York City. Chuck D, KRS-One, they were a part of my political awakening.
Right.
What's hip hop culture doing in terms of awakening and stabilizing the country? We wordsmiths, we who believe in the truth, we who use words for a living. What are we going to do about it? And that's why I hollered at David first, because I believe him and I believe in him.
That's because y'all from the Bay. Don't try to slick me. Don't try to slick me. I know Bay Area. I know Bay Area intellectuals when I see them.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Yo, who
I know
would be-
I know Telegraph Avenue, Berkeley High cats when I see them.
Come on.
Yo, I'll ask both of you guys, for Mark and David, who I know that you love that it's a very diverse group, all kinds of people from big names to folks who aren't so well known. If there's one fantasy name that you saw they hashtagged 45 lies and jumped in, who would that person be?
Oh man. I mean, I don't know. For me, E40, man, that's my favorite rapper of all time. Like that's
Yo, Earl, you heard? Yo, just yell ski skirt. He'll pull up.
I'm a hit.
What's
I'm
up,
him up
Earl?
right now. Actually, now that I think about it,
I got two.
Okay.
I got two. I want to hear Eminem. I want to hear Eminem body one of Trump's lies, but honestly, man, it's about the notorious AOC.
come on.
I know Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got bars.
AOC,
I
let's
wanna
do
Yo,
hear
she
it.
from the Bronx.
Congresswoman, I'm calling you out, fam.
Yo, you
calling
from where this
out.
hip hop thing started, AOC? What you got?
She gives you bars every day on Twitter, so that should be hard.
Exactly.
She does.
Exactly. What's up, AOC? 45 seconds, 45 lies. Let's go.
This is great though, because it's creating a teachable moment, not only for the person who's spitting, because you have to dig deeper, and for the people who are just like who love hip hop, who are like, let me check out this challenge, and all of a sudden they get enlightened with all this new information too.
Yeah, David, question. Before you were in Hamilton, were you this let's just say historically knowledgeable about the framework
No.
of America? Or did that being a part of that Hamilton teach you a few things as you did it for years?
Well, no, I wasn't. But I think every job, one of the great things about being an artist is you deep dive on the things that you need to at the time. So before Hamilton, I worked with Bamuthi on a show called Word Becomes Flesh. And I learned so much through that that was a show really about fatherhood. And like deep diving on that, I think has set me up for my future. My work in Hamilton has like allowed me to engage with American history in a different way. I just played Frederick Douglass in The Good Lord Bird. Like that allowed me to engage with American history.
So now
in a way.
when's the Good Lord Bird come out? I heard it's amazing,
It just came out yesterday. First episode just premiered.
Yo, I'm on that.
It's crazy. It's a crazy show. Ethan Hawke is a monster.
Well,
Have you guys heard about this Good Lord Bird?
No, I haven't.
Ethan Hawke is supposed to be incredible.
Nah, I don't even know.
It's going to be a good one.
I'm just trying to imagine, David, what your life was like after Hamilton blew up to the level that it's almost indescribable how much it blew up. I can't imagine the conversations that you are now being forced to have constantly where if you don't know, people were so buried deep into the story of Hamilton and history buffs were so into it that like you almost had to sheerly for cocktail conversation.
Yeah. Fortunately, like I'm pretty comfortable just being like, nah, I don't know that. So, I prefer to admit I don't know something than get trapped in a lie. Where
Right.
Keep spinning on it. You know what I'm saying? Like so I'm happy to continue to learn. There's a lot of shit I don't know.
Yo, and congrats on that new, what is it, Snowpiercer. Big up on that too, man. Now you're like are you a superhero now?
No, I'm just I played just a detective on a train in a nuclear ice age, normal shit.
Not a superhero.
Not a superhero.
I'm just a guy trying not to freeze to death, man.
Yeah.
All right, yo, and we've asked Lynn this several times, but who showed up at Hamilton that got you the most excited when you found out they were backstage?
Oh man, other than every time the Obamas came, which just like blew my mind.
What a stunt it is to say every time.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But honestly, the one time I got really like freaked out was when MC Hammer was there. I'm sorry, I'm that Oakland. Like,
yo, your Bay love is consistent.
I really am that Oakland, man. Like he showed up and I almost couldn't speak.
Yo, what would have happened if Too Short showed up? You would have stopped the show.
I'd have been out there. You know what? Also Prince sat in the balcony. Just off to the left.
Prince, and of course he sat in the balcony.
He sat in the balcony, and like, so you could see him the whole time. He was in the box. But the night before, he had invited us to he threw us a concert. You know what I'm saying? The night before. I mean, that whole time was crazy.
Oh, that's insane.
But like you know, it was wild, and it also felt different. You know, we were at a different time. Like, it's interesting, Hamilton coming out on Disney Plus during this world, in the middle of this pandemic, in a different administration. It hits different. It means something different, and that all ties back into to this same campaign. Like, there's the love for that show implies a certain amount of patriotism that I really want to be able to engage with. I want to be able to feel that way about America, and I don't. And so that's important, and that's one of the reasons that when B reached out to me, I took the opportunity to spend 45 seconds of my life to write. You know what I'm saying? It's not actually that hard to do a thing that maybe if we proliferate it enough, becomes a process by which we can regain some sort of faith and confidence in this country.
That's what's up, man. You know, Chris Jackson, who played George Washington in Hamilton, also dropped 45 seconds. Our man Jay Dixon, who played Aaron Burr, also dropped 45 seconds. You know, it's the part in Hamilton where George Washington is delivering his farewell address. It still moves me in an incredible way. The experiment, the American experiment, you know, what Ruth Bader Ginsburg, God rest her soul, what she talks about as something fundamental to who it is and who we are, free speech. These ideas, there's a lot of bullshit. There's, you know, that America was founded on. There's a cascade of, you know, of unfortunate events and principles, but the right to vote, the right to free speech, you know, these things are stuff that we still believe in. And folks like Chris, folks like David, you know, stepping up to the plate, you know, in relationship not only to Hamilton, but to this idea that we continue to make America's not promised. We continue to make it in our own image. You know, that's what's been really moving about the campaign in general.
Yeah, that's powerful, because the notion that America is not promised and the ideas are something that you continually have to work on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's definitely, that's easy to forget.
Well, this is the most not promised it's ever been. I mean, literally this month, it's never been more in doubt, the future, than maybe it is right now.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, David, thank you for your time. What's the site? Well, I know the hashtag is 45 Lies. What's the website?
The hashtag is 45 Lies on IG, 45 Lies 2020. The URL 45lies2020.com. And I'd encourage folks particularly to donate at this time. You asked, there are really three things that folks can do. Folks can just follow the hashtag, you know, follow us on IG, go to the website. The second thing you can do is just make a 45-second video yourself, engage. You know, voting is not the only way to be democratic. And we've seen that in the wake of George Floyd's murder and, you know, and all the activity around the matter of Black life. And then the third thing that you can do is donate through the site. Stacey Abrams' Fair Fight is really about expanding the voter franchise and making sure voter rights are protected. And the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, for, you know, more than 100 years has had the American experiment at the heart of its work. So follow us, 45 Lies 2020, make a joint yourself, hashtag 45 Lies, donate through the site, 45lies2020.com/donate.
Thanks a lot, fellas. David,
Thanks,
Mark,
guys.
thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Right on.
Keep doing
Thank
that
y'all.
work.
Thank y'all so much.
Take care.
Y'all be safe. Peace.